Everyone can see? Okay, great. So um, this first webinar, I looked at a lot of the requests from the musicians that applied to the conference, and many of them, most of them were interested in booking information in Japan, how to book, how to market, how to do other things. The Japanese market is very different, very unusual compared to even the Chinese market. And so a lot of the focus for this conference is on that aspect. So I decided to start out the first webinar focusing specifically on booking and preparation. So the flow will be first, I'll start by talking about research. You need to do research first, and then moving on to preparation, then to booking, then to promotion, then to touring. Now, touring, I'm actually not going to spend a lot of time on because the part two, the second webinar, performing in Japan, will focus on touring. So I'm just going to touch on that very briefly. And then finally follow up, and then we can have Q&A. So first, in researching, before you do anything, of course, you need to research, find out, exactly what you're getting into. So researching in Japan, it's all about finding your audience. So there's basically a market for every kind of music in Japan, running from, acoustic to hard rock, heavy metal, everything, gospel, hip hop. But the one thing that you need to realize is that the days, and I think slowly people are realizing this, but the days when foreigners come to Japan and Japanese people were like, I gotta see them, yay! They, fainting in front of Michael Jackson and all that's finished. And the main reason it's finished is because, as I think probably the best example is hip hop here. Japanese people, Japanese artists have learned how to do all of that stuff on their own. So now they can do it on their own in a language that they understand. So they no longer need the foreign artist, the American artist, to come over and perform. They can do it by themselves. Of course, it's always great to have that artist come over, but just it's not what it used to be. So in order for you as an independent artist who may or may not have a big name in Japan, in order for you to make an impression, you have to first research and find out what kind of audience will be interested in you. So for example, acoustic. Most acoustic acts are singer-songwriters, guitar, keyboards. They play in cafes and basically small venues. Hard rock cannot play outside. In Japan, Japanese culture does not like loud music. So amplified music, probably 95% of it is inside a live club, which in Japan they call live house. Gospel music, gospel performances. If you perform gospel, for example, you'll want to look at doing gospel workshops or performing in churches, performing outdoor street festivals, jazz festivals, jazz clubs, hip hop. A lot of people think, oh yeah, hip hop is big in Japan. Recorded hip hop is big in Japan. Live hip hop is not that big. You don't go around and sing, hip hop here and hip hop there. It's more of the live is more of an underground type of scene. Latin music's everywhere, and that is primarily because of salsa dancing and flamenco, and basically just the Spanish culture has infiltrated Japan. But again, live Latin music is not that big. It has its pockets, but it's not as big as just, salsa dance. Salsa dance in this place, salsa dance lesson here, salsa dance lesson there. But the live aspect is not there. World music, you've got a lot of world music. Again, it's probably in pockets, primarily in cafes and festivals. So it's all about understanding how you fit into the picture in terms of the style of music that you do. I know Stephen performs classical music. So in terms of classical music, you have to look at, Yamaha music schools or other places that basically places that teach classical music, universities. Next, preparing. So networking in Japan is very important. If you want to make any progress in Japan, it's all about connections. I've said that many times in other webinars, but it's true. It's all about connections. Who you know moves you up to the ladder. Meeting musicians is an easy way to make connections. Is an easy way to network, and that can be through Facebook, it can be through Twitter, it can be wherever. But first, you have to reach out to them, comment on their videos, stay in touch. Now, the biggest mistake that most people make is they approach, oh, this band, I love this band, I'm going to try and introduce them to my video. So they send an email and say, hey, your music's great, here's my music, check it out. Don't do that. The best way to approach people in Japan, Japanese people are very humble, very, very humble. So humble yourself. First, talk about their stuff, compliment them on their videos, their music, and other things. And then you can say, oh yeah, by the way, I play in a band too. If you're interested, I can send you a link. If they're interested, they'll reply. If they're not, then they won't, and nothing lost. Just move on to the next. But don't go and start pushing. That just doesn't, that style does not work. Looking at the graphs here, I put these up for a specific reason. And what I've found, especially with the artists this year in KMC, is that the overseas artists basically all have Facebook, and very few of them have Twitter. The Japanese acts, very few of them have Facebook, and almost all of them have Twitter. So there's a huge disconnect there. If you want to connect with musicians, you have to go where they are. So if you have a Twitter account, dust it off and start updating it. If you're not on Twitter, if you want to connect with Japanese musicians, you need to be on Twitter. Looking at the graph on the left, you see YouTube is the primary king in Japan. That's among ages 30 to 49. On the right, they did not have YouTube listed, but Line, if any of you are familiar with Line is basically basically an instant messaging service. It's not really geared toward marketing music, or there's Line Music, but it's not really of any substance. So your second best would be Twitter, Instagram, and then follow up with Facebook. But do not depend on Facebook and Instagram. You need to hit all three, and you need to be active in all three and have content on YouTube. I think for most of you, that's not a problem, but just make sure that you're staying on top of things. Even myself, I can't stand, I hate writing, so trying to keep updated, Twitter updated is like, oh, I need to send another tweet. Oh, but I kind of reach in spurts. Right now, a lot of stuff is happening, so I'm hitting Twitter as much as possible. So those are some key things to remember if you want to network and stay in touch with Japanese musicians. Next, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this because it's really important, and I'm gonna let you ask questions if you have any. But this is a breakdown of the venues in Japan, and basically because I get a lot of inquiries about, how does the system work? How do things work? So Live House, as I mentioned, is also called a live club. They have, as you can see on the screen, they have full backline equipment, usually Marshall amps, Hartke bass, or everything's top of the line. They generally use SM58 microphones. Everything's kept in good condition, and it's rare to find a Japanese run live house that is not on top of their game as far as the equipment. Jazz clubs similarly have a small jazz set, a small bass amp. Some will have an upright bass that you can use. Some may not. It just depends on the venue. Restaurants, cafes, they generally have no equipment. If they have equipment, it's a small PA. It may be old and dusty. It may be kind of up to date. But if you want to play in a cafe, you'll need to keep in mind that you will need to bring your own equipment, and you may even need to bring a PA. Outdoor malls, indoor malls, shopping centers, similarly to cafes, many malls have their own kind of small little PA system, but they have no gear, no equipment. Generally, malls and cafes do not allow loud music. It has to be acoustic. It has to be, kind of basically, as you can imagine, something that people want to shop to and not want to be blown away by. Merchandise sales, shirts, as you can see, shirts and CDs in live venues, mainly CDs everywhere else. I want to add that it's best try to see what is trending in Japanese fashion. And by that, I mean, there a long time ago, there used to be, on the smartphone, the little key holders, little things, and so on. I forgot what they called, trinkets or something. And people used to have those all the time. And it would have been an excellent idea, rather than trying to sell shirts, T-shirts. Have one of those made with your band logo on it, or something like that, key rings or something. Try to be unique and inventive, because if you bring shirts and stickers, you're going to go home with shirts and stickers. Performance time, 30 minutes for live houses, generally 4 to 7 acts all in a row, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. Each band usually brings their own crowd. Sometimes the crowd stays, sometimes it doesn't. So you need to be able to bring your own crowd if you're playing at a live house. Jazz clubs, 2 45-minute sets, plain and simple. There are no opening bands in jazz clubs. It's one band, they play 2 45-minute sets, and it's over. Restaurants, cafes, outdoor shopping malls, it's basically in the contract, usually from 60 to 90 minutes. It's all about the customers. And so in these situations, restaurants and cafes, it's not about the band. It's about the customers. The restaurant wants to get in more customers, so they bring in music. And if any of you know, I worked at Hard Rock Cafe. That was my whole point of being booking manager, to bring in the customers. Income, money made. Generally, you can't really make money in Japan. If any of you have any further questions on that, I'll take questions there. Upfront costs, generally not many. Outdoor shopping malls, they have a stage. They paid money for a stage, so usually you're going to have to pay to rent the stage. Otherwise, not so much upfront costs. If you're talking about a auditorium or a rehearsal hall, that's going to cost a lot of money. Any questions, anybody?
Yeah, Duan.
Yeah.
I want to ask you: does the clubs, for example, live houses or jazz clubs, they don't pay? They don't pay. It's the tickets you sell. Do you mean that?
Right. Okay. So for example, Live House, there are maybe 4 bands. Each band has to guarantee that they will sell 20 tickets.
Yeah. Okay.
If they sell 10 tickets, they hand that money over and they pay the venue for the other 10. Another
Okay.
band sells 50 tickets. So they've covered 20 and the venue gives them, say, maybe 50% of
Okay.
the ticket of the 30. So, 2,000 yen per ticket, they get 50% of that. That's how that goes. Jazz clubs, basically, they charge a music fee. They charge the guests a music charge. So you come in, you sit down, you have to order food, and you also pay 2,000 yen music charge. The music charge generally maybe 75% to 100% goes to the musician. But if you only have 3 customers, that's 6,000 yen. So you have to work hard to bring in the crowd.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions?
So splitting the tickets, the entrance fee for live houses. Uh, in my experience when I was in London, for example, every customer had to say, "I'm here for this band."
Yes.
So they had 1 for this band and
Exactly.
5 for this other band.
Yeah.
Works the same.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. At the door of a live house, they have, a check sheet. Oh yeah, I came to see band A. Oh, I came to see band C, and so on. And so at the end of the day, they have 10 people came to see this band, 30 people. It could be a huge crowd, but nobody came to see you. So you better sell some CDs or else you're gonna have to pay a lot of money. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Sure.
Thank you, by the way, for doing the webinar. We appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
I was going to ask you about, as far as the two quick questions. CDs are still kind of in vogue in Japan. In other words, they're kind of phasing out pretty quickly in the United States. I know people still use them as merchandise,
Yes.
but is it better to actually have physical products like that versus maybe, I don't know, a website or a link somehow to your online music? First of all, it'd be my first question right there.
Okay. Very easy to answer. Yes, downloading is popular in Japan. CD sales are fading. However, at live venues, generally, even more than just the CD, people want a physical copy that they met you. They want something to remember you by. So a download card is here today and gone tomorrow. So yes, always bring CDs.
Got it. And then the other question, since this is very kind of long distance, in other words, trying to arrange something, draw in our own crowd from thousands of miles away, the managers, how much kind of hands-on do they have in that, as far as promotion, as far as advertisement, as far as reaching out to maybe connections they have to help bring in that audience? Because I mean, from this far away, I feel pretty disconnected as far as trying to bring my own audience. And I know, of course, a lot of that's trying to establish a reputation, having a really strong online presence, etc. But how much of that is kind of helped along by management?
Well, in general, Japanese people do not like middlemen. They like to be in direct contact. So that's why I'll take you back to this screen. That's why this is so important. You must do the legwork up front. If you can reach out to one person and they love your music, they will do the work for you. They will put on their blog, hey, this act is coming, come see them. And they'll tell their friends about you and they will bring your crowd. So if you can connect with, maybe 5 or 6 solid connections with people, they'll do the work for you. There's absolutely no problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Right. In terms of management, no, because I represent some acts and they're like, I contact people like, who are you? So, they want to hear from the artist directly.
Got it.
Okay. All right. I'll move on. Music festivals. I'm going to go over this very quickly because it's kind of a moot point, but a lot of people ask, oh yeah, I want to play in a music festival. Forget it. You're not going to get in a music festival unless you have a big name. There are types of music festivals, basically big and small. Big, the huge Summer Sonic and Fuji Rock Festival. Those are for, Metallica and Elvis Costello, and no, forget it. You'll never get in those. Small is possible. I've booked several overseas musicians in small music festivals, but they cannot book it by themselves. One, because they need a contact person who is on the ground in Japan and can go directly and apply, because most of them are done by application, website application, and they're generally in Japanese. So it is possible to get into some of these festivals, but again, you need contacts. There is the rare possibility that a festival may reach out to you. A lot of Japanese, companies, producers, and so on, they scour the website, scour the internet looking for interesting people. I've seen cases of musicians getting full 100% paid performances, everything paid, airfare, to come to Japan and perform and go back home. It happens, but it's extremely rare. So just, don't wait for that opportunity. Next, promotion. So as I mentioned, word of mouth is the most effective way to promote and market yourself in Japan. Japan's all about rankings, ranking this and ranking this and ranking, just ranking. So this is Pocket Wi-Fi. It's a ranking site for Pocket Wi-Fi. So if ABC Pocket Wi-Fi is ranked high, everybody's gonna buy it because the ranking says so. This on the right, disadvantages of taking lessons at Yamaha music school. This is kind of one of those strange things where if something gets a bad name, it's doomed. In Japan, if a couple things get a bad reputation, then they're going to start going downhill because nobody's going to do it. So at the bottom of the page, I got an email from an artist in Europe, maybe the UK, I don't quite remember. And he said that he got a write-up from this Musica Terra. It's a website. And they did, just out of nowhere, I guess, did a write-up on his music and really liked it. And he just started getting floods and floods of interest from, people wanting to write about his music or buy his music and other things. So this is one, you can check this website. They do write-ups the guy does write-ups on all foreign acts. I sent him an email and let him know about KMC and what we're doing. But again, as I said with middlemen, he didn't reply going, oh yeah, you represent a lot of foreign artists. Wow, I want to work with you. He didn't say that. He just replied by saying, oh, nice to meet you. Let me know if there's anything that we can do. So he can find his own, he speaks English. He can find musicians on his own. He doesn't need me to connect him. So having said that, you should reach out to him. Again, be subtle. Don't say, hey, I'm a musician in the UK. I saw you wrote about this guy. Write about me, please. No, it doesn't work that way. Write to him, say, I saw your website. I really like what you're doing. Sell him on something. Sell him on something that is not your music. Sell him on something that maybe you can work together. You can help connect him with something. It's all about, as I said, it's all about connections. So yeah, definitely check out Musica Terra. Another key thing, learn Japanese. A lot of musicians come over here and they don't really speak Japanese. That's okay. You can survive in Japan without speaking Japanese. However, it helps and it shows that you are trying to absorb the culture. You're trying to be, you're interested in the culture, you appreciate the culture. Even just a few words on stage during your performance makes a difference. So definitely. And also down here, whoops, down at the bottom, there's English for those of you who are in the UK or close by. English Japanese London Meetup is a group of British and I guess Japanese expats who are interested in Japanese culture. They meet every now and then, and I guess recently they've been meeting online. That's a perfect way for you to establish connections. Join the group, start talking. Oh, one day I want to go to Japan and so on. Oh yeah, I'm a musician. I play here. Wow. The Japanese person says, I really like your music. Oh, really? Okay. You stay in touch. When you go to Japan, they will contact their friends in Japan and they will tell their friends to go see you. That's how it works. Also, there's the KMC ebook that I wrote. It has pages and pages of useful phrases that you can use on stage. And that is very important. It also helps, excuse me, it also helps not only with stage, but also traveling, networking with people and doing business as well. So it's very important to try to learn Japanese before your trip. And one other thing, this girl, the VTuber in the middle, so she is interested, she wants to speak English. She's interested in teaching Japanese. There are lots of people on Twitter and other places that want to make connections simply by teaching Japanese. So you can reach out to them, have them teach you some Japanese, you can teach them English, and in the middle, you can sell them your music because they would love to meet a musician. So that's another way, just kind of a back doorway to promote your music and get a foot in the door. So this is a phrase mori agaru. It says everything in Japan. Japanese musicians are really interested in hyping up the crowd, getting everyone excited and having a great time. Even if there are 3 people in the crowd, it's all about putting your best effort forth. So when you put together, you're ready to tour. When you put together your stage show, put together, a flawless, impressive stage show that's going to blow them away. And even if there are only 5 people in the audience, those 5 people are going to see the amount of effort you put into your stage show, and they're going to go tell their friends. So again, word of mouth, that's what it's all about. Other things of touring, as I mentioned, the next webinar, we will have Hannah Rebecca. She lived in Japan for several years, so she will be doing the next webinar, August 28th. If you're interested in attending that, the information will be up on the website in a few weeks. Finally, follow-up. So this I've noticed is probably not only for musicians, but just everybody who attends conferences and everything. They're just not good at following up. Oh man, the tour was great. I'm gonna come back next year. No, they don't come back. They don't send an email. They don't do anything. They're finished. If you want to come back, if you want success in Japan, you must be persistent. You must follow up. And I will introduce Thomas Mash. He's from Czech Republic. You see him in the middle with a violin. He came to KMC, and he also connected with Hiroko Matsumoto in 2016, and they've made music together, they've recorded together, they've toured in both Czech Republic and in Japan together doing performances. And he actually will be the highlight speaker for KMC this year on the 19th, doing a webinar about exactly how he was able to establish connections and do all of what he did. So if you're interested in exactly how he was able to be successful in Japan, please tune into that. That is also it currently is on the KMC website now on the overview page. And one final thing I will mention is this. Ha ha ha. If you want to perform in Japan, buy the book. So this book I wrote in 2014. Some of the information is old now. For example, cigarette smoking, it has stuff on smoking there. Smoking was basically banned in public from April last year. So there's some things in there that are a little out of date, but the general information about live music, how to prepare, how to book, how to do business, none of that has changed. Japan is a country that is very, 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 very slow to change. So the book is still very much worth it. Its PDF file is 475 pages. So there's a lot of information. And that's it. So I will take any questions if you have them.
I have a question.
Yes.
Again, okay, yeah, about the follow-up.
Mhm.
Really great idea, and I'm a big believer in that as well. I was going to get your advice about how maybe the best way to do that in the Japanese culture. Are you talking more, just like a simple follow-up to say, thank you, I really enjoyed meeting you, I appreciate, being able to perform for you, or what kind of follow-up do you mean when you talk about that?
Right. Good. Very, very good question. So I'll just give you a quick example. For example, I go to a meeting with someone, about working together for KMC. And, we talk for maybe 20 minutes and I say, thank you. And it takes me maybe 40 minutes to get back home and check my email. By the time I'm back home, he has sent me an email saying, thank you for the meeting. I very much appreciate it. I look forward to working with you. So that
Okay.
is the Japanese style. Just immediately at the minimum, thank you for meeting and taking your time. And then it grows from there.
Great. Okay, got it. Thank you.
And I think, yeah, this is in the book as well. A good follow-up email, don't wait any longer than 24 hours, I would say. If you're not able to, follow up immediately, don't wait any longer than 24 hours.
Okay, great.
Other questions?
I have
Yes.
like 3 questions.
Okay.
The first one, can you do PR in Japan, some marketing stuff, or that is impossible?
At what level? Like, for example, television or radio or flyers?
Like maybe some website magazines, like they review your album, your song, they show the music.
Basically, in a nutshell, no, because everything in Japan costs money.
Okay.
For example, the interview that I sent you, the link done in 2010, I'm gonna get my money out of that. I'm gonna keep using it. It cost me $800 for that interview.
Oh.
So I'm gonna keep using it until they take it off the site.
So in Japan, there is no, like in the UK or Latin America or the States, that you have an agency and they do the PR, they find the media for you and they send your music and you get some reviews and this stuff. It doesn't exist?
That style does not exist. Basically, the management of even Japanese musicians, they either have connections that can get them, a free interview, a scratch your back kind of deal, or they simply just pay the fee for the interview because they already know that it costs money. So they have it in their budget. Okay, we've got this CD coming out. We're gonna pay this, this website and pay this magazine, and that's just how it goes.
Okay, second question, 2 questions in the same question.
Okay.
Promoters, Like in our case that we are foreigners in Hong Kong, when we wanted to tour China, Adriana said she speaks Chinese. She only contacted one venue, and that person was sending messages to everybody. So we got, for the first time touring in China, almost 20 cities. Because the people there was like, hey, there's a Mexican band who wants to play in China.
Right.
And we got many invitations. In this case, you can find a promoter who can book all the shows. And the second question in the same question is, KMC works as a booker too, or you don't do that kind of job?
Okay, I'll I'll start with the second question first. KMC is not a booking agency, no, but my company, Shalestone Music, is. All you have to do is Google Shalestone Music, and or even, you know, booking live music in Japan, and you will see my website.
Okay.
It's also at the bottom of every KMC page under the copyright.
Okay.
And also your first question, which actually ties into that. Basically, in Japan, there are no booking agencies. There are promotion companies, but they generally deal with Japanese musicians. The big promoters like Creative Man and you know, a lot of the others, they only look for bands or musicians that have a fan base. They can sell CDs.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, not promoters. What you want to find are individuals like that guy who wrote Musica Terra. He and other people like him, it's almost like their hobby. They will book not 20, but, you know, they would be overjoyed to book, you know, 2 or 3 gigs in the city where they live, in Tokyo or something like that. That happens all the time.
Okay.
It's just finding them is the key. And as I mentioned, usually they find you.
Okay, and here comes the last one, because this one, I think this one is very important. We have performed in Japan 3 times or 2 times, I don't remember. And we had problems with the visas, but when they see all the instruments, because we have a set of lights that you're gonna see in our next, in the KMC performance.
Right.
We have a set of lights, we have many scenes, the pads. It's like, what the fuck are you doing here? The first time we went to Japan, I lied. It's like, I'm gonna play music in my hotel room.
Yeah.
And they asked me the question all over again, over again.
Sure.
And the second time we visited Japan, we went to a festival, and we had the invitation letter, so that was easier.
Oh, okay.
But in this case, how can you enter to Japan without having a working visa or an invitation letter? So they know it's like, you're coming to work, you're not coming as a tourist.
Right. Simple. My apologies for this, but simple answer: use my company.
Okay.
Use my company. And I say that because I have everything established. You just bring yourself. My company has connections to production companies, lighting companies, instrument rental companies, everything that, you know, we can grab that once you get here.
Great. Okay, that answers everything. I mean, because when you go to China, it happened the same. We had a very big box and was like, what do you have inside?
Right, exactly.
And we opened the box, music instruments.
Yeah.
And she was speaking Chinese. Okay, go away.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So when a Mexican band came, it's like, guys, you need to go like not together. They don't see the band.
Exactly.
One person with a guitar, it's okay. But when they see a band, it's like, what are you doing here? You're coming to play, right?
Right.
So even in Hong Kong, you can have problems for this.
Yeah, a lot of information about that is in the book. I've been basically working with musicians from overseas since 2006. So I don't want to overstep and say I have a relationship with immigration, because that's not the case. But I do know exactly how immigration works, the questions they ask, what makes them suspicious. And for example, like a lot of times I tell people, you know, when you go through customs, you have a small box of CDs, and they say, huh, what are these CDs? Oh, they're for promotion. Here, you want one? That's it. Offer one to the customs, you know, the immigration officer.
Yes, even last time is like Mexicans.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, oh
Really?
yeah. They asked us.
They ask us, do you smoke weed?
It's like, no.
Like,
It's like, no, because we are Mexicans, we have weed or something in our cases.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but that is the question. So that's why we are worried to go back to Japan, because every time it's bigger and bigger, the equipment that we have to bring.
Right.
Thank you for the answers.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody?
Yeah, Duan.
Yes.
I have a question.
Mhm.
What do you think it's easier to go in a future to try to play in Japan? Go alone, or like my case, I play jazz. I could go alone, but I have a trio, so it's like this is my project. But there are more expenses.
Right.
Cost is bigger.
Okay. Would you have a problem coming here by yourself and having me to hire two musicians for you? The musicians here in Japan, you know, they're top level.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
So
but
if you do that, then you also reap the benefits of the fact that the musicians you're hiring have friends.
Yeah.
So they bring their friends to your performance.
Okay. It's like the Thomas Mack you told.
Exactly.
Or yeah. Okay. And second question. I didn't know about the Line network.
Right.
Here, I never heard it.
Yeah.
So do you think I have to start with that?
A long time ago, I thought Line would be a good idea, but basically no. Line it's a Korean company that really pushed into the Japanese market. It's basically a Japanese only social network.
Okay.
And so if you were to get on there, like Line Music is like a lot of teeny boppers and, you know, makeup and acting cute, and it's not where you want to be.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Yes.
So sorry, you were mentioning before how it's important to when you meet people to immediately contact them and things like that. You said email them and such, but wouldn't like messaging them, wouldn't it be important to get something like Line, which is predominant here, rather than ask them for, I don't know, Facebook or WhatsApp or things of that nature?
Let's see. If you meet them, one thing you should always do is, so for example, are you online? Line? No, I'm not on that. How about Twitter? Are you on Twitter? Yeah, I'm on Twitter, and connect with them there. Boom, you've got the connection.
So it's basically whatever's most convenient to you,
Exactly.
kind of thing. Just try to find that mutual thing.
Yeah. I mean, really, like a non-Japanese person using Line would be a waste of time. And I say that because the only reason you would be using Line is to promote your music. Line is about so much else. And so if the only thing you're doing online is promoting your music, it doesn't work. Shay, you had something?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you about cost, the average cost of hiring deputy musicians in Japan. And another question I had is, does it make any sense to be opening act for a Japanese act, maybe not a whole tour with the same artist, but city to city, and opening up for them?
Okay. Let's see. So your first question, sorry, your first question again.
My first question is, I play in a trio.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, right. In terms of
But
musicians,
coming
right,
to Japan is a
right,
big expense.
right,
So
right.
what would be the average cost of hiring that musician in
Okay,
Japan?
okay. I have a whole roster of professional musicians that I work with, and to make sure that I can secure and hold their dates, because usually it's like, we plan for a tour 3-4 months in advance, so they may get a big gig in between that time. So
Right.
I generally offer them between 11,000 to 15,000 yen. That's 150, roughly 140, $150 US per gig.
So
And
that's
right.
pretty much what it would be over here in Europe. So
I don't know. Yeah, you lived in Japan, 15,000 yen.
yeah, I know, but I mean, I lived in Japan 10 years ago, so maybe things are changed. I don't know.
No,
Some
same.
gigs were gosen, some gigs were ichiman.
Oh,
It
right.
depends.
Right.
So,
Yeah. In general, because like I've had situations where I reserved somebody and they were like, "Yo, I got a gig that pays this much. Can I get it?" And so I just are you okay with this amount? So that's basically how much I
well,
pay.
if you book gigs in Japan from Europe, you are very likely to do it several months in advance.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
makes sense.
Right.
And the second question is about getting the connection network hard enough to be an opening act for Japanese artists in their own city, where probably they have the biggest crowd, or maybe on a tour.
In Japan, there is no such thing as opening bands. For example, Fuji Rock Festival. On this stage, you have all the musicians at the same level. On stage B, all the musicians at the same level, and so on and so on. Basically, Japan is a very equal society. They don't want to put this person over this person, this band's better than this band. So everyone at the same level plays on the same bill.
But I'm talking more like live house.
Same.
I performed in Japan, and the biggest band, the biggest act was always at the end.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
A lot of that could be timing, but in general. So it's funny. I was just reminiscing. I used to play in a reggae band, and when I first got in the band, we opened for Black Uhuru, and if any of you know Black Uhuru's, very big reggae band. We were an opening band, and they would not let us touch the soundboard. They gave us like 4 channels on the soundboard, and we couldn't change the monitors. We couldn't do anything. That's very big-headed. In Japan, that type of attitude does not exist. So, if this band wants to play, basically the venue creates the lineup order, and they usually put the overseas act in the middle or kind of towards the end. So it's not a problem in terms of we're not going to have anybody to play in front of.
Okay, thank you.
I actually have another question.
Okay.
Technology, really quickly. You mentioned the importance of really following up with people, within 24 hours of after making contact with them or meeting with them.
Yes.
So just a technological question. I mean, can you just take your own American cell phone, for example, to Japan and have it unlocked, or do you have to use a different type of technology or internet cafe? And what's the kind of the best way to get in touch with people on short notice over in Japan?
Sure. Generally, when you before you leave your own country, you want to check and find out if you need an overseas SIM card, or how can your phone work in Japan. It's better to get it over there than to wait until you get to the airport here. But once you get to the airport in Japan, there are pocket Wi-Fis. Wi-Fi stores have exploded in the airports now. You can go basically anywhere and rent a Wi-Fi at airport A and return it at airport B. That's no problem.
Got it.
So yeah, basically just make sure. Oh yeah, the key to know is your home phone company's overseas charges.
Okay,
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also, you had mentioned, I watched a recording, like I mentioned to you, of one of your former KMC conferences, webinars.
Yes.
And you had talked about the concept of using a QR code to connect with people. Now,
Yes.
you talking about the QR code would filter them to your website or to your YouTube channel or your, what exactly, or where are we directing people to?
Well,
with the QR code, or can we direct them to multiple places at the same time?
Right, exactly. There are websites where you can create your own QR code. Basically, you put any information, you can put a smiley face in it if you want. you can put whatever links in the QR code you want. One thing is make business cards. So it would have business card with the band on it, your name, and then a QR code that has all the information. So they can quickly just scan the code and all the links, YouTube or whatever, goes straight to their phone.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Anybody else? Yeah, so basically, as I mentioned, I've been doing tours in Japan since 2006. So, this information I'm bringing to you now is what, 15 years of mistakes and successes and a whole lot of stuff. But one thing to keep in mind when you come to Japan is you must be able to go with the flow. Definitely. If you don't have a flexible approach, then you're going to have problems being successful here. Understand that Japanese culture is extremely unique. Japanese people do things in their own way, and they aren't going to change anytime soon. So come with an open mind, ready to perform and give your best, and show appreciation. Say thank you, speak arigatou gozaimashita, yeah. Okay, and that's exactly an hour there. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. I've got, if anybody is interested, Hannah Rebecca will be doing a live performance on the KMC webpage, top page from 9 o'clock. So those of you who are in the middle of the morning, maybe you'll go back to sleep. But for those of you who are staying out, you can check it out. Otherwise, please check out the Kansai Music Conference website, KMC, kansaimusicconference.com, for other information. We'll be doing other websites. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but yeah, Thomas Mash will be doing, he will be doing a presentation on September 19th. So thank you everybody for joining. Please keep in touch. And I look forward to continuing communication. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye. Have
Thank
a good
you.
night or
Bye-bye.
good morning or
Good morning.
yeah, good lunch. Take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
You too. Bye.